بسم الله والحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله. اللهم لا سهل إلا ما جعلته سهلا وأنت تجعل الحزن إذا شئت سهلا. So today we are going to speak about some of these transactions that are void, meaning that someone would sell someone, but that transaction is void. Islam does not accept that transaction. So the first type is called Bay'ul Ma'dum, the selling of the non-existing. وَمَا لَهُ خَطَرُ الْعَدَمِ, and whoever has a risk of non-existing. Examples of the non-existing: selling the baby of the baby in the womb of a lamb. That's non-existing, because the lamb inside it might be male or female, and then he's selling after that baby is born and then grow and then has a baby. That baby, I will sell it to you. That is called Bay'ul Ma'dum. This does not exist. What about the baby itself that is in the womb? It's already in the mother. So there is a baby. We can see that there is a baby. This has a risk of existence because it might die. So that as well cannot be sold. It's like someone is selling the fruits. Fruits started, someone comes, I want to buy all your crop. But hold on, the fruit already started. You don't know whether it's going to be good or not. There did not come, maybe it's rain will come, hail will come, will destroy the whole crop. That cannot happen. This transaction does not count in Islam. From this, selling the milk in the sheep or in the cow. Saying, I will sell you the milk in that cow. Cannot. Selling the wool on the lamb. Cannot. Even though you have the lambs and the wool on them. Selling the pearls in the sea as well. Cannot. So this type of selling is void and is unacceptable in Islam. So that's the first one. Second one is selling what you cannot deliver, even if you own it. معجوز التسليم. So you are incapable of deliver that product. For example, someone has pigeons. Usually pigeons are owned by the person. They go fly and they come back. So you cannot sell that pigeon if it's in the air. If the person who owns that pigeon have them in the cage, then he can sell them. But he cannot sell them while they are not in the hand. The third type بيع الدين, selling your debt. People sell their debt. Yeah. People sell their debt. So, بيع الدين or selling the debt, either cash or delayed. You remember what we call the delayed payment? Last week we spoke about riba. We have two types of riba. What are they?
Fadl.
Fadl. And then the second one is nasi'a, which is the delayed. Fadl is the extra. Nasi'a is the delayed. So the dain or the debt can be sold cash or installments. So if it's installments, this is, of course, haram, sharan. The Prophet ﷺ prohibited selling the debt with the debt or with the money.
So how does that work?
How does that work? I owe you $1,000, and I said, I will pay you back in 1 month. The 1 month came. I did not have money to pay you back. You said to me, no problem, sell me this coffee on top of your debt. This coffee, it's $1,000. This coffee worth $500. So your debt will become $1,500. You pay me in another month. So what did they do? What did they do? They added something which is just despicable, something that doesn't worth anything. They put on top in order to just go around the riba, the interest. Okay? So this is pure riba. The other way of it, for example, you owe me 20 kilograms of fruits. You're not paying me these. Then I come to Shamil, and Shamil, I say to him, would you buy the debt that I have on Dawood with this amount of money? And you will get, you pay me after 1 month, or you give me some products for that, and then you pay him. This is what happens in lots of these companies that buy the debt. They take the check, which is a debt on someone. They buy that check for a certain amount of money, because that's going to be paid after. For example, a check that will be paid after 6 months. The person wants the money now. He will go to these companies who will buy the debts. They will buy the check from him for less amount. And then they will take the check and collect the money after 6 months. It's purely riba. Okay? So buying the debt is haram. So the next one, بيع الغرر. And I think we spoke about بيع الغرر, which is the selling with the potential cheating. And we spoke about what is the gharar. In general, the gharar is what its future is ambiguous. You don't know about its future. This is gharar. So bay' al-gharar is the selling which has a risk that might potentially happen to one of the two. So he will lose his money. We said that insurance is gharar. Because insurance, someone will put money and someone and make insurance on his company and his car, for example, and there is a potential that this car will go into accident, that person will lose, the insurance company will lose because they need to cover everything, or potentially he will not get into accident, so the insurance company will win and the person who paid. So this is gharar. There is ambiguity on what is going to happen, who's going to lose or who's going to win. So bay' al-gharar, anything that has ambiguity is haram. Example, someone is coming to someone and saying, I'm going to throw my net in the sea and I'm going to sell you what comes out in the net from the sea. If it's 100 kilogram, if it's 1 kilogram, it's nothing. I'm going to sell it to you for $100. That's gharar. Why? Because there's ambiguity. It might be there's nothing in there.
Whether is insurance haram?
Of course.
We do it.
Which one?
Car.
Yeah, this is the third party damage because of the mafsada from not having that insurance.
So third party, okay.
Third party damage, yeah, okay. Because of the current system that is not the full lesson about insurance. It's on, you posted it, correct? The insurance one.
Yeah.
The fourth one is selling the najas. What does that mean? Selling alcohol, selling pork, selling dead body, selling blood. Example, selling a heart of a unslaughtered animal, which is najas. Okay? This sale is void. It's not acceptable in Islam. Okay, what about the dung? Is the dung najis? Najis. Can we sell the dung?
Can't use it like farming.
We can use it for farming. So of course we can, even though it is najis. So that's an exception from selling the najis,
But
which is the
like,
dung.
because it's not like najis tahrimi, it's not like haram.
No, it's not the najasa of the dung, it's a najasa. But if it is dried out, then it doesn't become najasa because it's not going to contact you or get wet with you.
So even fertilizer you can sell?
What?
You can sell fertilizer?
Correct.
What about the buyer, the person who buys the heart from the unslaughtered animal?
Yes. So this whole transaction is void. So in Islam does not count as a transaction that exists. So it's a wrong transaction.
What do you, like, how can you buy a heart if the animal is not slaughtered?
What?
How can you buy the heart if the animal is not slaughtered?
You can buy the heart from the supermarket. It is there.
Haram.
Yeah?
So it's slaughtered in the haram way.
Yeah, but you bought the heart, for example, for a scientific reason. So you want to open the valves and look at the valves of the
What
heart.
about if it's slaughtered in a halal way?
That's fine.
Yeah.
That's fine.
What was it? That was fine?
It's a halal animal.
But if it's not
Okay. It's not permissible, and listen to this, to sell insects. Like, for example, they sell the stick insect as pets. These are things that there is no benefit in them. It's not permissible to sell them. It's not permissible to sell a lion, a wolf, the birds that are not eaten.
Like an eagle.
Like an eagle, like the, yeah, it's not permissible. And any money that comes from that is not a halal income.
So it's not haram to keep them as pets though, right?
You can keep a pet as a lion as a pet.
Can't buy it.
You can't buy it, you cannot sell it.
So what's the dalil? What's the evidence?
The evidence all comes back to the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ. Number one, Allah Azza wa Jal prohibited selling the alcohol, dead pork or pig, and the status. And in another hadith, the Prophet ﷺ prohibited the money that you get from selling a dog. So even selling the dogs is not permissible. Of course, you will find other opinions will say if you can benefit from it, then it's permissible to buy it or sell it. If you cannot benefit from it, some people will claim that, okay, the dog can be a guard if it is a trained dog for example, a blind person. Or so some of the scholars said it's permissible to sell what you can benefit from. But anything that you cannot benefit from, then it's not permissible to sell.
So, for example, what about if you...
Because the selling is related to tahara, purity. So whatever cannot be benefited from shar'an in Islam, you cannot sell because it's impure, it's najis, yes.
So what about if you buy like a tarantula or a spider for your class to...
Science.
Yeah, it's an insect.
So there is a benefit in there. So what we are saying here is selling what cannot be benefited from, especially if it is in a najasa. Number 5, بيع العربون, deposit. Someone will buy something, so he will pay something, a deposit, and if the transaction went ahead, that deposit will be counted from the price. If the deposit or if the transaction did not go ahead, then he will lose the deposit. And sometimes there is a cooling off period, where within this period of time, if you don't want to complete the transaction, I will return back the deposit. If you won't go ahead and then you don't want to complete after that, you lose the deposit.
So even with the cooling off period, it becomes haram.
So the majority of the scholars say that this type of selling is prohibited. Because the Prophet ﷺ prohibited selling the arbun or arban, because it's from the gharar. and it's eating the money without a payback. It has two conditions. Usually in the previous times, what usually used to happen, I will buy from you this camera. Here is $10. If I come back to you after a week and I will give you the rest of the money, I will take the camera. If I don't come back after a week, I gifted you the $10 that I gave you. That's usually how the concept is. So the problem here, there are two void conditions in this, which is the condition of gift. So I will say, okay, no problems, I will take a deposit from you, but you will gift me that deposit if you don't come back to complete the transaction. So that's a condition to be gifted. So that's not permissible.
So there shouldn't be any condition on gifts. Gifts should just be gifts.
Yeah, the deposit itself, it shouldn't be that it will be lost if I don't complete the transaction. That's the bottom line. Any deposit for buying something will require the loss of that deposit. If I don't complete the transaction, that selling is not permissible in Islam. It's a lot here, isn't it? It's a lot. Lots of people, they do that. There are a couple of ahadith that have been narrated about making that type of selling permissible, but all of them are weak ahadith. That's why it's really tricky, because most of the selling and buying these days is built on that. The deposit, and you will lose the deposit if you don't complete the transaction. It should be that there is the deposit, and I will not lose the deposit if I don't complete. I will return back. There's a cooling off period, you return back my deposit. That's
So
it.
what about in like soccer club, for example, if somebody pays a deposit and you say you're not going to get a refund on this deposit if you ask for it back after February the 15th. And then after that, they ask for it back, but the cooling off period is finished, and they say, well, I don't want to pay this year.
So it will depend if, so the non-refundable deposit, this is what we are talking about. It will depend on the service. Did he take some service? Then it's better for you to calculate the service. Like, for example, the term or the season is from this time to this time. They come for training this number of days. They pay this amount, so each training will count to this. So he came for 2 months for training, and then he stopped and he said, give me back the money, I don't want to continue. You need to count how much trainings he attended, how much it cost you, and say, this is what cost me, this is what's left back for you. So the non-refundable deposit is problematic in Islam.
So it's not good to advertise it.
It's not good to advertise non-refundable. Yes. Deposit, they will be counted from the year fees, for example. Selling the water. Can someone sell water or air or dirt? So, first, Imam Abu Hanifa said that the types of waters are 4. You have the water of the sea, which is for everyone. No one should sell. The water of the rivers, it's for everyone. But you cannot prevent people from using that. And if you want to, for example, put a dam or to put a mill over that to use it, that's fine, so long as you don't prevent people from using it. Water that is in the premises of someone. Well, that water, every person has a right in that water, even if it's in the premises of that person. With the amount that he needs. Because someone is traveling, and then someone in his land, there is a well. And so, someone is traveling and was not able to find water, and there is water in that well. That well, everyone has a right in that to drink from it. The fourth one is the water that's been accumulated in containers. And that water can be sold, and the only one has the right to sell that, the one who put it in the containers, because there is a cost in that. It's like the one who puts the mineral water in the bottles. There is a cost involved in that. So that person has the right to sell it, and nobody has a right in that water except the owner of these bottles. And you cannot use that water except if you take permission from the owner of these bottles. So some people will say, you cannot sell water. No, if the person put effort and cost in containing the water in specific containers, then he has the right. Other type of waters, no, if they are outside. Yeah.
So how would that work? For example, when we buy water from the petrol station, Mount Franklin is the company, so they put effort in containing the water,
Yeah.
and they sold it to the petrol station, and then the petrol station is selling it.
Yeah, no problems with that. No problems with that. It has been like it's agreed between the scholars that it's better not to sell the water. It's better to give the water, even if it was contained by someone. The owner of that water cannot be forced to give the water unless there is a necessity. Like people lost water and someone has all of these bottles of water, then the owner can be forced to give away the water for free. البيع المعلق على شرط. Selling that depends on a condition. For example, I say to you, I will sell you my house for $500,000 if that person sold me his house for $400,000. So you put a condition on another transaction that you sell with that amount if that person sold you for this amount. This is a void sell. Our saying, I will sell you my house for $500,000 if my father comes from travel tomorrow.
That's how.
That's void. So meaning it doesn't exist. It's not a sell. It's not acceptable. Okay? There is another type of this which is called Albayal Mudaf. What does that mean? As if I'm saying to you, I'll sell you this car with $3,000 next month. This is an addition. So there is a sort of addition in time, and during that time, you don't know what's going to happen to the car. So that is void. It should not happen.
So for that example, it's even if that car is not being used, it's just sitting in the showroom.
It should be on the spot that you are buying that. Unless there is a condition that when you come and check the car, if it's okay, then you can take it. Otherwise, you will take your money. That will become like you are buying it on that time. Now, the next one is selling the blind person. So someone who is blind, can you sell him? Sell him something? Because that blind person might not see the product.
Needs a witness.
He might need a witness. If he can identify the thing that he bought or he sold in a way, then that's fine. The Prophet ﷺ said, إِنَّمَا الْبَيْعُ عَنْ تَرَاضٍ. Selling is by accepting. So if the two parties are accepting, the blind person accepted to sell, knowing what he sold, and the buyer accepted, then that's fine. This statement, إِنَّمَا الْبَيْعُ عَنْ تَرَاضٍ, the selling is with the acceptance of both. This is a key in selling and buying. But it cannot be taken for sellings that are prohibited in Islam. The next is selling with a haram price. For example, I'm selling you this, and the price is alcohol bottles or pork meat. And that's unacceptable price. So the whole transaction does not count.
So you're not selling a haram product, but you're selling it at the same price of a haram product?
No, you are selling it and taking the price as a haram product. I'm selling you that car with 200 boxes of wine.
Ah, there's like trade.
Yeah. Okay. The other part that is not permissible is someone coming to you and saying, I will buy your car for $5,000. I will pay it after a year. The person will say, accepted. Then he says to him, I will sell you the car for $4,000 now. The person says, accepted. Give me the 4,000. What happened here?
Two deals in one transaction.
So I came to someone. This is usually things that happen when someone wants cash. And he doesn't want to go and say, give me $4,000, I'll give it to you, $5,000 in 1 year. But he will come, let's say, sell me this camera for $5,000. You say, yeah, I sold you for $5,000. Okay, I own it, I will pay it after 1 year. No problems. Would you like to buy it from me now? For 4,000? Yeah, give me the 4,000. So I will take the 4,000 for the same camera, which was yours. That I bought it for 5,000 to pay in 1 year, sold it for 4,000 that you give me the money now. So what happened actually is I took from you 4,000 now, I'm giving you 5,000 in a year, which is riba. But in order to move around the bush, we put something in the middle. Sell me this, buy it again from me. Okay? And this is called bay' al-'ina. بيع العينة.
What about if you sell something that you don't have? For example, you have this laptop. There's a laptop that the shops are selling on special, and and the laptop from the shops is, for example, $100, and you advertise this laptop on Gumtree for $200, but you don't have the laptop yet, and then someone buys it from you online, okay, and you get the money, and then you go buy it from the shops and then sell it to him.
So you are selling what you don't own.
Yeah, but then you go and buy it and sell it.
But you are not 100% sure that you are going to get that laptop, because you might go there and it doesn't exist at all.
Then you can refund him.
If there is a condition that you will refund him to protect his right, then that's fine. We have بيع التورق, which is the same concept like the camera. Sell me the camera for $5,000, I will pay you after 1 year. Okay? You accept. I take the camera, I say, would you like to buy this camera now for $4,000? Yes, here you go.
So is that between 3 people?
That's between 3 people, not the same person.
So you get it from Shamil, 5,000, but you don't pay anything.
I say to him, I will pay you after a year. And then I go to you, I say, would you like to buy this camera? Yes, $4,000 now.
Yeah.
You pay me. So I took the money.
Yeah.
I did not pay. I will pay $5,000 to Shamil in 1 year.
So essentially, it's still his.
Yeah, but I bought it from him, and he
you paid
accepted to pay in a year time.
Mm.
So that's tawarruq.
You can only do that after you pay him 5,000.
No, that's called tawarruq, and that's makruh in Imam Malik and Ahmad.
So let's say, for example, you buy the camera from Shamil in 2010. So I'll give you $5,000 in a year time. You keep the camera for a year, and after that year...
No, that's not the reason for tawarruq. Tawarruq is you buy things by installments, you go sell them cash for other person. Aina is you buy something from someone and you sell him the same thing again. Did you get these 2 types of...
I didn't get the first one.
You did not get the first one?
And the second one I can get.
Aina, you did not get it? So, I'm selling you this water. Shamil, I'm selling you this water for $5,000. He accepted. You don't need to pay me now. You will pay me in a year. Shamil, would you like to sell me the water for $4,000? Yes. Here is $4,000.
No, he gives you 4,000.
I gave him the $4,000.
He wants to buy it again.
So what happened here is obviously I gave him $4,000 and he's going to pay me back $5,000.
Yeah.
It's a game around riba. It's a riba, but it's a game around it that I put something that is not true, not real in the middle, to say, no, that I bought from me the water and I bought from him the water. So that's Aina. Tawarruq, buying from him, selling to someone else cash. So buying in installments, selling cash. Okay? Next, selling the grapes to the wineries.
Selling grapes.
To the wineries. If the person knows that winery is going to use the grape for making wine. If the person knows, then it's not permissible. Like someone selling weapons to people knowing that they will kill Muslims with these weapons. 2 sellings in one. 2 sellings in one. And 2 conditions in one. The Prophet ﷺ prohibited 2 sellings in one sell.
What's an example?
Example. two sellings in one. I sell you my house on the condition that you sell me your horse. The second one is I sell you this 2,000 for 5 years or 3,000 for 1 year. The person does not know the real price of this. If the person knows the real price from this, then it's a different story. So the person who wants to buy, he doesn't know what's the price of this. Pay this if you pay within this amount of time, pay this if you pay within this amount of time. If the person, the buyer, knows that, the price of the house is 400,000. If you go by installments, for 5 years, you pay this amount. For 10 years, you pay this amount. Then, that's fine. But this house is for this price for this amount of time, this price for this amount of time, then there is an ambiguity about the price of that product. The second type, or saying, I will sell you this if you sell me that. That's sort of, hoarding? It's like you are forcing him. So the person needs that product from you, needs the water. So he will be forced to give you whatever you are asking. So these are two conditions, and the Prophet ﷺ prohibited that. We stop here, inshallah. جزاكم الله خير.